Can everybody hear me fine? Awesome. I hope you're all having a great time at Startup Grind. This is actually my first time speaking at this conference. And today I want to talk about retention, which I personally believe to be the most important metric in predicting a startup or company's longer term success. I believe the clicker. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Did I skip any slides? Just getting used to the, there we go, awesome. So just to start off, want to introduce Heap a little bit. We are a customer analytics product. The key difference with Heap versus other analytics tools is that we automatically capture all the customer behavior data that we possibly can. That's things like clicks on your web app, taps, swipes on your mobile app, emails that you send through a system like MailChimp, payments that you process through a system like Stripe, other third-party services. We pull all that data into one place so that when you have a question about your customers or their behavior, you can answer it without having to write code and retroactively over the data that we've collected. So we are a SaaS business. And when I'm talking about retention and customer churn today, I'm mainly doing so from the perspective of a B2B SaaS business. Great. So we've been in business for about 4 years now, and just want to give a little sense for where we're at and why it's worth listening to me about customer retention. So the first thing is we actually have over 6,000 active customers of our platform. We have an NPS score that oscillates between 50 and 60, and we have a customer satisfaction score of 9.8 out of 10. And the net result of that is that we have a 90% gross retention over the course of the year. And most of the customer churn that does happen is mainly natural churn. That is sort of just the nature of the small, medium businesses that we serve. And so that's where we're at as a business. And we've definitely made a lot of mistakes as we've tried to get to where we are today. And I want to talk through some of the high-level learnings. So as I mentioned before, we believe retention is the most important metric. And in fact, it is more important than top-line growth. And partially, a big piece of that is because when you protect a dollar of business, that saves your business a lot of money down the road. And I'll talk about that a bit more depth in just a second here. But the three strategies I want to dig into here are basically aggressively getting in front of your customers and talking to them. And I use the word aggressive very deliberately there. Two is actually automating a lot of the conversations you have with your customer and doing so in a way that doesn't sacrifice quality. And third is actually designing your product for retention. And I'll dig into what these things mean in a second. So the first thing is, why is retention more important than growth? And there are two key factors at play here. One is that the customer acquisition cost, or the CAC, of expanding your existing customer base is always going to be cheaper than getting new customers. The second big factor is that when you have a highly retentive customer base, that generates a lot of word of mouth referrals that is always going to be the cheapest way to acquire customers. So those two effects mean that when you have high retention and low churn, growing becomes less costly. And as a company or startup grows, every single one, its top line growth will stall out. And so if you have a lot of churn, you need to fight that gravity and you need to pay a lot of money to combat that churn. And that means you have to raise more money, you have to talk to a bunch of VCs, and nobody wants to do that. And so building up retention is the main way you can make sure that your company is growing in a sustainable way. So let's talk about that first thing, aggressively facilitating customer conversations. So the unfortunate reality is that nobody wants to talk to a customer success rep. Nobody does. Why is that? Well, most of them actually suck. Right? Think back to when a customer success rep for one of the tools that you use has reached out to you. Oftentimes it is you need to submit this form for renewal, or nagging you to send over some forms, or something that doesn't really help me. And that's been my personal experience with a lot of account managers or customer success reps. I'd rather just go around them to get the value that I need out of the product. And the unfortunate reality of that is because most customer success teams suck, your customer success team is not going to be listened to by default. They're basically going to be guilty until proven innocent. And so how can you get around that? Well, the first thing is actually forcing the customer to talk to you. And so when you close deals with some bigger enterprise customers, something I always advocate SaaS businesses do is that they make onboarding a mandatory part of that kickoff process. And initially when we introduced onboarding, a lot of our customers sort of pushed back on that. They were like, I just want to use the product. Why are you making me go through this process? And the reason we make them go through that process is because we believe our customer success team has a lot of value to add. Specifically when it comes to analytics, our value is that we can take the insights they get from our product and learn how to apply it to their business. And that's something we've seen across 6,000 customers and something we can be uniquely helpful with. And so customers see that in that first conversation, and we earn their trust. And that means they are much more willing to talk to us down the road, have a tighter relationship with us, and ultimately be happier customers. So aggressively try to get that first conversation and prove the value of your customer success team. The second thing is actually take the effort to brand your customer success team. And so a company that does this really well is Palantir. Have people here heard about Palantir, I imagine? So they call their equivalent of customer success reps forward deployed engineers, which sounds really cool, right? I want to talk to a forward deployed engineer, right? I want to be the front of combat and help our customers solve all of their problems. And it's I think, a really cool thing to do because it helps brand, it helps sell their customer success reps just as much as they are selling the product. And so that's been a pretty key lever for them to gain trust and business from their customers. Now I'll say the third thing is actually being surprisingly useful in the conversations that you have with your customers. And so MuleSoft is a public SaaS company, and one of their company values is be surprisingly useful. And we do this all the time at Heap. For instance, just the other day, we're helping one of our customers think through different variations for the A/B testing that they're doing on their homepage. Heap is not an A/B testing tool. We are not an A/B testing agency, but this is a symptom of the trust we have gained by working closely with our customers. They will come to us when they have questions about how they can use a product like ours to serve their business. And at the end of the day, it's not, the point of our tool isn't really for our customers to use our tool. It is for them to use our tool as a means to drive their business forward. And we can better enable that by being surprisingly useful in every conversation we have with them. So we put a lot of effort into our customer success team. And that means that we need to put a lot of effort into hiring the right people for this team. If you end up hiring schlubs or cheap talent to try to fill out your customer success team, then what that means is that you're going to have a cost center. If you treat that team as a cost center, it will be a cost center. The way I recommend thinking about how to hire the right talent is to think about what are the skills that make your product most successful for the customer. For an analytics product like Heap, the two skills that make our product more useful are technical skills and an understanding of business models. And as a result, when we hire people for this role, we look for a combination of whether they have web development experience and whether they've had some consulting background. And that has worked really well for us. App Annie, for instance, really enjoys not just our product, but Jonathan, who is a member of our customer success team. And when they think about the value they get out of Heap, they think about him first and foremost. And that's a really, really powerful bond. And that's actually something that is hard to commoditize or hard to copy, actually building that trust with your customers. So that's number one. The second thing we can do is actually automate a lot of what we do without compromising quality. And that's a really difficult thing because a lot of automation comes at the expense of quality. And so if we're doing our jobs right and we're actually providing value to customers, what we have seen is that our customers come to us all the time, come to our customer success team and ask for advice. And that's awesome, but it's also really expensive and time-consuming. And so naturally, as our company has grown, we need to think about how to scale that in a good way. And so the two concrete things that we've done is actually have a dedicated Slack channel for every one of our enterprise customers. And so we found that email is a pretty clunky way to solve problems with our customers, but phone calls are really difficult to organize, and they have a lot of coordination overhead. And so we found Slack to be that nice medium between synchronous communication and asynchronous communication with our customers. And then the second thing that we do is we spend a lot of time investing in tooling and automation for the customer success team. So one of the benefits of having a technically minded team of CS reps is that they're building tooling for themselves. And so what you're seeing here is actually a Slackbot. And that is actually built by one of our customer success reps, Taylor. And that was built to automate a lot of the tasks that we were doing on behalf of customers, like extending their free trial or restarting their free trial. And that has paid a lot of dividends. So hiring great people, aggressively trying to prove value to the customer, and automating a lot of the repetitive tasks that we do as a customer success team have enabled us to have white glove customer success at scale. And that's been really powerful. When we look at the VP of Data and Analytics from Casper, he mentions that Heap is the standard that I hold old vendors to, and those other vendors never live up to it. I feel like when we talk to Heap as a peer, we see them as a peer, someone who is operating at the same level of knowledge and sophistication as we are. And I'm extremely proud of the customer success team that we have to enable this sort of reaction from the customer. And it will always, always be more powerful than any one or two features that you build into your product. So the third thing is design your product for retention. And what does that mean? One piece of that is obviously build a product that people like. But it's actually more than that. It's understanding the relationship between the product that you build and design and how it works with your customer success team. For a B2B SaaS company, the customer experience is going to be not just your product. It's not just going to be the customer success reps that they talk to. It's going to be the combination of the both. So when we think about building new features, when we think about enhancing our product, we don't just think about making our customers' lives easier. We think about making our customer success reps' lives easier in order to serve our customers. So one example of this is actually Heap itself. We automatically capture all the data so that when our customers have questions, they can answer it without writing code. And that enables our customers to ask questions and get answers more quickly. But it also enables our customer success team to help solve problems that come up when our customers have issues with their analytics or they have trouble understanding how to apply it to their business. And this is a pretty stark contrast from the status quo of how analytics works. Doesn't matter how amazing a customer success rep is for a more traditional analytics tool, if the customer is having issues setting that data up or getting the right metric tracked, the customer success rep can't do anything because they don't have access to your code base. So this has been an example of a product feature we have built that not just helps our customer, but lets our customer success reps be a lot more leveraged in helping out our customer. And so we always try to think about, largely, when our CS team is serving our user base, what are the common tasks that they're repeating over and over? And the pattern that often takes is making sure that we automate those tasks through some sort of internal tooling or a Slackbot command. And then once we've done so, actually turning that into a feature that our customers can use themselves. So these are a couple of the features that we have within our product that started off as internal tooling to empower our CS team that has since turned into features that now empower our customers. And that has been a really powerful avenue for figuring out which features to prioritize when building out Heap. So in summary, those are sort of the three things that we found have really helped actually aggressively getting in front of customers, making sure that we are automating without sacrificing quality, and actually putting effort into building a product that serves our customer success team as well as our customers. And so if you can do that, you'll have great retention, and if you have great retention, your business will be a massive success. So I'm happy to answer any questions about churn or retention or anything in general. Yes?
At what point did you start hiring support engineers?
So we sort of, the question was at what point did we hire support engineers? So we interchangeably use the term support engineer and customer success rep. Basically, we hired our first support engineer when our product started making money. So pretty much immediately. This was probably our fifth or sixth hire. Our first hires were actually customer success reps before we hired any sales reps. And we had about 5 engineers, and were able to get the product to the point where we could charge for it. And then as we had customers who were deeply using our tools, we realized we needed to serve them in a dedicated way. So pretty much as soon as we started making money. Yes?
How do you sell your product?
So the way that we sell our product, we have 2 sorts of tiers. One is a free tier that we encourage startups to use, and it's great, and we want to help make sure that when startups are getting off the ground, they have a good analytics tool to use. And then we have sort of our enterprise tier. And that typically, most of that pipeline comes through inbound, and they will talk to a sales rep who talks to them, tries to figure out how heat fits into their business, how they plan to use it, and then we'll give them a quote. And that sales cycle typically takes between 3 or 4 weeks for us, and that's the main way that we make money. We used to have a self-serve tier, but we since got rid of it.
So can I piggyback question on that? So basically the first iteration or the first contact between your product and a potential client happens without human interface?
It varies. So the question was, is the first interaction without a human interface? It varies a lot. Sometimes it does start with just a sales demo. Actually, fairly frequently it happens with somebody trying Heap out on their own, maybe trying our free trial or using it on a subset of their product or their business, and then they like it so much that it'll expand into a sales conversation. But I would say more often than not, it probably starts with them kicking the tires themselves of our product.
I had
Yes.
a question about the enterprise Slack channel.
Yes.
Do you have all the users of your product are on that Slack channel, or is there kind of like product or like champions at that company?
Yeah, that's a great question. The question was, how do our enterprise Slack channels work? So I have a lot of thoughts on this. We made some mistake. Initially, we had everyone in one channel. What we found is that it makes our customers a little hesitant to ask questions because they don't want to look stupid to other companies. So we actually create a private channel for every single one of our customers, in addition to a more public one where people can request features and throw ideas around.
And for those ones like that, like Company A, is every user on Company A on that Slack, or is it just certain ones who have that?
Yeah, the company can choose who to invite. So we serve enterprises, and there are a lot of different end users. And more often than not, they'll just have everyone in there because it just tends to be a helpful channel for them.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. Yes.
Why did you choose Slack instead of having it inside of the product and chat?
Yeah. Question is, why Slack over an in-product chat? It's easier to have multi-way conversations in Slack, whereas a lot of the chat tools that exist are one-to-one. Let's give the back some love here. All the way in the back, you. Yes?
You spoke about your exceptional retention rate, like up to 90%. Was it always that way? And if not, what medium did you get feedback on churned customers?
Yeah, the question was our retention always at the rate it is? No, it wasn't. It used to be worse. Part of that is investing in exactly the things that we mentioned. In terms of the feedback we got to know to improve it, one thing I will mention is that if you're waiting to see bad churn numbers before you try to fix your churn, it will be too late because churn is a lagging indicator of success. So part of this is actually looking at metrics like Heap, but a big part of it is actually talking to our customers and understanding how they use our product. And really, there is no substitute for just talking to your customers and seeing if you sold a deal to them, are they still using it? And so those are the leading indicators we use to say, oh, wow, we only have 2 people at this company using it when we expect 10. We need to do something about that. And that sort of line of thinking caused us to converge on these set of customer success practices. And I think we're done. All right, thank you so much, everyone. If you have any more questions, find me on Twitter. Happy to answer them. Thank you.